Our next speaker invites us into a different relationship with leadership and voice. Lauri Smith is a soulful speaking and untamed leadership coach who helps loving rebels lead and communicate from intuition instead of pressure. Her work is rooted in the belief that speaking is a sacred art. Your voice is not just about what you say, it's about how you connect. It is about the energy you shape when you speak. And what I appreciate most about Lori's approach is that she does not ask you to perform, impress, or perfect yourself. She invites you to lead from intention. In this 10-minute session, she will share how to work with your voice as a creative leadership tool, one that feels embodied, one that feels real. You will be invited to choose one real moment in the coming week, maybe a meeting, a client conversation, a boundary, or an everyday interaction, and practice what you learned immediately. You'll walk away with a three-step practice you can use right away. Please join me in welcoming Lauri Smith.
Thank you so much. I would love to take a brief moment to have everyone notice your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul. If it's helpful to you, you can close your eyes so you can take away the visual stimulation and feel your body more. And you might even fill in the blanks on the sentence, my mind is, with one word or a short phrase, my body is, my heart is, my soul is. And we may come back to that a little later. There is a quote that I absolutely love. It's Maya Angelou, who was a poet. And she said, words mean more than what is set down on paper. It takes the human voice to infuse them with deeper meaning. I love the quote, and I love that it came from a poet who knew that the black and white is not all there is. We are all born with charisma, a 1 in 8 billion radiance that is as unique as our fingerprint. It travels on our voices. Sound waves literally leave our bodies and touch others. It also travels on our presence. Unfortunately, here in our Western world, we've been conditioned to hide our knowing, to tame ourselves, to bury that radiance beneath all kinds of shoulds that create masks and veils. The world, as my first coach used to say, is shoulding all over us. So we either blindly follow all of those shoulds, or when we're younger, we might rebel against every single rule we're hearing just to prove that we're free, when neither of those paths is true freedom. We're told, don't be too big, don't be too much, don't take up too much space, don't be too emotional. And emotions, energy and motion, and that 1 in 8 billion charisma actually go hand in hand. We suppress our emotions by suppressing our breath. And over time, the suppressing of our breath holds back, shuts down that resonance of our voices that, as Maya said, could be infusing the meaning in what we're saying. And what I believe it's going to take to create meaningful change in the world is for us to stop being who the world told us we should be, who we were tamed into. It's going to take showing up as the 1 in 8 billion powerful, unique, creative force that we actually are. I'm going to ask you to imagine a few things. Again, if it helps you to imagine, I invite you to close your eyes. If not, maybe just look away from this two-dimensional device in front of your faces. And imagine yourself giving a Zoom presentation like this one. And notice what comes up mentally, physically, energetically, and emotionally as you do. And now let that one go and imagine that you're in one of those dynamic meetings with a group of people all in the same space, maybe around one of those oval tables. And as you're chiming in or not, notice what's there in your body, your mind, your heart, your breath. And then let that one go. And imagine yourself walking onto a TED Talk stage with one of those red carpets. And notice what happens mentally, physically, energetically, and emotionally as you imagine that. And then take a breath. Let that go. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Years ago, even though I was actually on stage all the time as an actor, I had a dirty little secret. I had a love-hate relationship with being seen. I wanted it, as I believe all humans do. We crave connection. We want to be seen and understood. I also feared it. And I tried to control every inch of how I appeared throughout my life, polished, composed, together. And then one day in my favorite acting class, there was an exercise that cracked that all open and changed it. That day, instead of having a couple people on stage with me, I was up there by myself. And they were throwing little vignette situations at me. And I kept pulling myself together and armoring up and putting on the emotional mask that said, I'm fine, nothing to see here. And Richard, my instructor, lovingly stopped me and said, whatever that is you're doing, stop doing it. Just let yourself be where you are. Let everything, tears included, flow. And I blurted, I'm not that comfortable having everyone's eyes on me. And then he said, you've chosen a strange set of careers for yourself. Part of you wants this. And it struck a chord. Part of me did. Part of me knew I was meant to be seen. And I deeply trusted the space that he held. So I jumped back in and I was actively releasing decades of protective jaw tension, those emotional masks, the energetic armor. And it was like walking through some kind of fire and ice experience at the same time. And when the exercise was over, I looked out and I felt like I could see and feel the emotional and energetic state of everyone else in the room through their protection to their hearts and souls. It was my first moment of oneness that lasted beyond acting or playing a sport. And I realized that in that experience, I made a choice to go back into being everything that everyone had been telling me I couldn't or shouldn't be for my whole entire life. Wild, weird, different, out there, emotional, raw, intuitive, unmasked, and untamed. And that changed my life. It led to my voice, it led to oneness, it led to changing my world, and I believe it will change the world. I remembered who I actually am. And now I love to help other people doing great work in the world to let go of every last trace of who they were told to be, even if they're standing on a stage, and remember and reclaim and show up as who they actually are. I also found a primal life force in each of us that makes us vibrant and alive from head to toe. Presence begins where primal and purpose meet. So if it does, how do we get it back? I've got 3 words for you that I'm going to unpack a little bit. And when you go out and use them in your week, you can say them like a mantra. And I'm also going to invite you to notice in your body and your breath what happens as we go into them a bit. Intend, align, invite. Intend is setting the intention in every room you enter, from this one to a table to a TED Talk.
2 minutes.
Set the intention for what you want to create, not for what you want to avoid or what the world told you to avoid. What emotion or energy do you want to invite whenever you're going to use your voice? The second one is to align your body, your breath, and your energy with your untamed self, with that intention that you set, which involves opening your heart. And you can do this with me sitting in your chairs, breathing a slightly deeper, more nourishing breath, and then allowing your energy to take up space as if you're hugging the room with your energetic arms. That's intend and align. And then invite is inviting the people into that emotion or that energy, not agree with everything I'm saying, not do what I want you to do, but come into a field of hope, come into a field of curiosity, come into a field of love, and then listen to their nonverbal half of the conversation or their verbal one as we're speaking, looking for signs of movement from wherever they started, frustration, hopelessness, resistance, toward that intention. So now imagine the Zoom presentation of your own, the round table, the TED Talk, and you have set an intention. You've aligned your body, your breath, and your energy, and you're watching the faces and the body language and feeling the energy shifting. And notice how that might feel different than when you imagined it earlier. And now the practical step is to pick a moment in your life in the next week while this is fresh to practice this. Intend, align, invite. It doesn't need to be a formal speech, but it could be. It could be one meeting, one conversation that you've got. Could be the rest of this session right now while it's really fresh. Set the intention for what you want people to feel, and then look for signs of them shifting toward that feeling or that energy as you speak. Thank you so much.
Amazing.